Good evening, everyone. Would you please stand for the presentation of colors?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty. Please follow me in the scouting along scout signs. On my honor, I will do my best to do my duty to guide my country, to obey the scout law, to help other people at all times, to keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. Scouting is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent.
Let us pray. Gracious God, we thank you for the gifts of this day, for the triumphs and challenges we've experienced as we lift up to you now. We ask you to send your spirit among us to inspire us, to help us to give thanks for those who are offering their lives on behalf of others. Bless the scouting organization, and bless all of us to become our best selves and to make a difference in the world. And God bless America.
Everyone be seated. Thank you. Good evening. My name is Pete Motel. I'm the president of the Chester County Council Executive Board. Thank you to the Scouts from Troop 6 for an excellent opening color guard. Welcome, everyone. The new home of Chester County Council, Boy Scouts of America, the Oscar Lasco Program Activity Resource Campus, for short, PARC. 10 years ago, this campus was merely a dream. Getting to this day was never a sure thing. This project became a study in perseverance in the face of adversity. But the more obstacles thrown in our path, the more we resolved to overcome them. Now, after many years of hard work, the global pandemic thrown in for good measure, we're here tonight. We're excited to be hosting you all to the first public event in this building. Hopefully you had some time to tour around and enjoy the view from the deck. The completion of the building is just the beginning of what we ultimately have planned for this campus. In addition to the numerous indoor multi-purpose spaces, we also plan outdoor teaching spaces, a large meeting pavilion, walking and nature trails, maybe even a disc golf course, and much more. But certainly there's more to come. Chester County Council Scouting currently serves about 3,000 youth in Chester County and in the northern part of Cecil County, Maryland. The pandemic hit our operations hard, as I'm certain it did yours as well. Despite the hardship, our units continue to meet virtually and in person with COVID precautions. And with schools now open, thank goodness, we're actively recruiting into scouting. We're hopeful the kids are looking for new and exciting activities to join this fall. We had a very successful and of note on eventful summer camping season, with nearly 2,000 scouts attending our summer camps this past summer. And also of note, in 2020, despite the challenges of the pandemic, we had 157 scouts obtain the rank of Eagle, the highest award in scouting. And in 2021, we have also welcomed our first female Eagle Scouts ever, a glorious and momentous accomplishment. Scouting has and always will serve the community, and we intend for this facility to be a great resource that will help us in that service, especially as the tent of scouting continues to widen. Tonight, we're gathered for a very special evening to honor the Chester County Council VSA 2021 Distinguished Citizen of the Year, along with the inaugural class of Leadership Megastars, including some of the most dynamic business, nonprofit, healthcare, educational, and community leaders in our area. We're humbled to find ourselves among the stars of Chester County, our bright future. Tonight, all of the honorees are shaping Chester County's future. With your help, together, we hope to serve Chester County for generations to come and to continue to make Chester County a better place to live and work. This time, it's my pleasure to introduce Matt Function, CEO of Penn Beer, to kick off the awards program. Matt.
Thank you very much, Peter. You're probably all wondering why the local Bud guy gets an opportunity to introduce a man of the cloth, and probably one of the most well-known men in Chester County and Southeast Pennsylvania. But it's my pleasure, and I will do my best to tell that story. So again, thank you very much, Peter. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening, and once again, welcome to this beautiful facility. It gives me great pleasure, and it is indeed my privilege to introduce this year's Chester County Council VISTA Leadership Distinguished Citizen of the Year Award to Reverend Frank Allen, Rector of St. David's Church in Radnor, Pennsylvania. It's especially nice for me to introduce you to Frank because, in addition to the many wonderful things that Frank does for God and community, he and his lovely wife, Dr. Amy Allen, are very dear friends of ours. As a pediatrician, Amy has taken care of thousands of babies and children and has done just an incredible job for so many people in the area that we live in. Amy, thank you for what you do. We're greatly indebted. And also, thanks for keeping Frank in mind. We have spent many fun and memorable times over the years, not just at St. David's Church, but also playing golf, hiking, fishing, and duck hunting. Frank is a pretty good shot, by the way. And we also have had so much fun with Frank when he leads sing-alongs of many of your favorite tunes, accompanied by his fine guitar playing. And for those of you that don't know, Frank has a terrific baritone singing voice and has performed the national anthem at Citizens Bank Park in front of a packed house and did a terrific job. Finally, we have shared many laughs and fun times with Frank and Amy enjoying Frank's delicious barbecue. He's probably seriously the best Texas barbecue chef this side of the Mississippi. And I mean that. It's great stuff. My wife Diana and I are also very fortunate to have had the opportunity or have Frank preside over the marriage of our 3 children. We are very grateful for his support in navigating these joyous occasions and for his spiritual guidance through some of the more challenging times in life. Frank and Amy are the proud parents of 3 terrific young men, Will, Rob, and Ben. The entire family, Duke University graduates and diehard fans. I could go on for quite a while discussing Frank's many accomplishments, but in the interest of time, I won't do that. His contributions to the entire Chester County community are countless. As rector of St. David's Church over the past 25 years, he has built one of the most prolific church congregations in the country. He directs and participates in numerous outreach programs which benefit thousands of people in the United States and abroad. Frank's incredible faith, commitment, and leadership by example have resulted in local, national, and global recognition. His intellect, his compassion for others, and good humor are simply unparalleled. Ladies and gentlemen, the 2021 Distinguished Citizen of the Year, my friend and your community leader, Frank Allen.
Thank you all for such a warm welcome and for the honor of being named the Citizen of the Year by the Chester County Council of Boy Scouts of America in VISTA today. Two organizations that are making an important difference in the lives of thousands of people themselves and shaping a vision for our future as a community and a nation. God bless you for your good work and what you and we will accomplish in the future for the betterment of our community. Congratulations also to all the award winners and your sponsors. The differences that you are making in our lives and the life of our community are significant. May God continue to give you the vision and the strength to keep it up as you continue to make such important contributions, both personally and professionally. I'd like to start with a thank you to Jim Bennett and Dr. Pete Motel for nominating me for this prestigious award and for the board in electing me, and for the many ways each of you bring your hearts and skills to scouting in so many areas of our common life. I'm in an early morning Bible study with Jim, and for some, it starts at 6:30, and Jim is the funniest person I've ever been around, and he usually gets us going in the morning. I'm blessed to know you and to share in some of the activities and interests that mark you both as very special persons who consistently act as a force for good in our community. I want to thank St. David's Church for letting me be part of this magnificent community of faith on a mission of knowing God and Jesus Christ and making Christ known to others. And together, we built a community of love and fed and clothed and educated and taken care of thousands of people in the greater Delaware Valley, and have helped build schools and businesses and a hospital in Uganda, and churches and water projects in Guatemala, water filtration systems in Cuba, and the ongoing and annual relief we're currently providing in Haiti and areas affected by Hurricane Ida, and for the beginning of our support with our Afghan partners who are now arriving in America. I want to thank my friends and family, and especially my wife Amy, who's here tonight, for their loving support, for their, man, you must have read mine, for their sometimes gentle correctives when I get ahead of myself, and for the joy and fun we share in living life and trying to make the world a better place. And being a professional Christian, as my three sons call me, I want to thank God for the opportunity to serve God and others, and for the gifts God has given me to make a difference in the world. It's a lot of thanks, I recognize, and there are more people on whose shoulders I am standing tonight. The thanks reminds me, and I hope it reminds you, that being a good citizen and making a difference in the world is much more about we and less about me. And that's why I want to address in the next 2 minutes. We're living in a time where me is too often overshadowing we. A time when people believe that their importance and their high position is what is important in life. And whoever came up with that marketing slogan, we're the me generation, did not do the world a favor. And while it's true that sometimes a me or a person can rise up and do great things, they didn't get there on their own. And their work is never as effective or consistent as when we work together, as when we're drawing on everyone's gifts, when we are part of a community that's relying on and celebrating everyone's gifts and commitments and achievements. I'm sure we can all think of examples in every area of life where the we outdistanced, outperformed, and out-accomplished the me. The Eagles Super Bowl team is one of my favorite examples of the we, doing more than the me's on that team. And I hope this year's team can catch just that kind of magic of putting we over the me. The we approach to making things happen and accomplishing important work is often called servant leadership, and it's a foundational part of the scouting program. Servant leadership in a nutshell is about putting the task as the primary goal and not who's in charge or worrying about who's going to get the credit. I learned this early in my business career when I was trying to put God off from doing this. Right after college, I spent 11 years working for one of the largest and best construction companies in the Delaware Valley, first as an estimator, and then when they realized I talked too much, they put me in business development. And early in my time there, I noticed the president and the other leaders and the project managers who were working in the company were superb problem solvers. And they kept their egos and the egos of everyone else around them in check. Whatever we were trying to solve, they always worked backwards from the goal. Instead of launching with the first idea that came to their head, they figured out where they were trying to go and then stepped backwards to get to the first step. They would ask, what are we trying to accomplish and what needs to be done? And then come up with a step-by-step way forward. It didn't matter who was in charge. Everyone's input was considered. And as a result, we were consistently effective in whatever we were trying to do. I'd never seen this approach and started asking these coworkers where they learned that. I was an Eagle Scout. I learned it on an Eagle Scout project. I learned it from my Scoutmaster in 6th grade. I realized then, and it's been affirmed in my nearly 25 years at St. David's, that this kind of servant leadership in general, and scouting in particular, develops a kind of leadership skills and abilities that places we over me, and the results consistently speak for themselves. I applaud the Boy Scouts of America and the Chester County Council, as well as supporters like VISTA today for training and lifting up servant leaders who put the we over the me. And I hope that this important work continues and that all of us can have a greater focus on the we over the me. Because when we do, the world can be changed for the better. And together, we will consistently make a greater difference in our lives and in the lives of other people. Thank you again for this great honor, and may God bless you and keep you all.
Reverend Frank, if you're a professional Christian, you'll allow us to call ourselves unprofessional Christians. All right. I once told Steve Achel, and people will recognize Steve Achel, that the greatest hypocrite that I know in life is that guy that I look at in the mirror every morning, which makes me a very unprofessional Christian, but as real as I can be. It's an honor following you. I appreciate our conversation before this evening. I look forward to meeting you and getting to know you more as we go forward. Thank you, and congratulations. I'd like to think that Warren Buffett would find a home here in Chester County. A man that's worth $101 billion, he's 92 years old. He still lives in the same house that he bought in the 70s for $53,000. $100 billion fortune, and he still lives in a $50,000 home. And when Warren Buffett goes to make an investment, he has many rules, and these rules have saved him through wars and depressions and crashes and politics. Don't gamble, do your homework, live frugally, invest in what you know. But one of the rules he has that's fascinating is the 100-year rule. Try to think of things that'll still be here in 100 years. And if you look at Warren Buffett's investments, they're all in things that'll still be here in 100 years. They've been here. Chances are they're going to be here in 100 years. Things like construction, insurance, banking, food, like Coca-Cola, Kraft, Dairy Queen. All right, we like ice cream now. Chances are in 100 years we'll still like ice cream. Clothing, when you get dressed, a fruit of the loom, right? He owns it. And so it's these 100-year rules. And I like that 100-year way of thinking because it's part of why we're here tonight. It's not only because of VISTA, we're hardwired to want to know what's going on down the street and around the corner from us. When we were kids, our parents would clip the newspaper and they would buy 10, 15 newspapers, clip them, and they would send it out. Now it's easier, you just mail it, right? But we're hardwired to want to know and to spread news. And That's what we're doing every day, 5 or 6 stories a day, finding those positive, upbeat stories that remind us what a great place Chester County is and sharing them across the county. The second 100-year rule that I think holds true for tonight is leadership. We crave good leadership, especially in times of challenge when we're afraid or uncertain. You think back on our lives, we've always followed leaders. When we were kids, we had our parents, we had our teachers. As we grew as teenagers, we had captains on our teams. In Scouts, we had patrol leaders and senior patrol leaders and scoutmasters. Adults, we had bosses and pastors, and we also had presidents and political leaders. But our lives are defined by the leaders that we follow or don't follow. And it is such, it will always be such, it's always been that way. It'll be true in 100 years from now, it'll be true as long as we live, as the world is around. Leadership is key. And finally, the Scout Law. You look at those elements of the Scout Law, the 12 points of the Scout Law: trustworthy, loyal, helpful. We repeated them at the beginning. They never go out of vogue. And Warren Buffett said one time, it takes 20 years to build a reputation and just 5 minutes to ruin that reputation. And it's interesting, as you look at those: trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, brave, clean, and reverent. None of us are perfect, but all of us got here by practicing some element of that on a day-to-day basis. And by following the Scout Law, we show the world, we earn the world's respect. That they can trust us, that in turbulent times and difficult times, that they can put their trust in us, that there's a sense of hope and a sense of community and rallying around the leadership that we offer. So tonight, as we recognize the VISTA Leadership Megastars, it's because you've embodied the Scout Law, that 100-year principle of the Scout Law that was true 100 years ago and 100 years ago from now. It'll still be important to be trustworthy and kind and courteous and so forth. It's the 100-year principle of leadership. And as I turn the time back over to Jeff to introduce the VISTA Leadership Megastar, may I just ask you to give Jeff a round of applause? He doesn't know I'm going to do this, but we're sitting in a building tonight that 3 years ago was just an empty field. And he came into town and said, look, we still have millions to raise, but we're going to do it, and we're going to break ground on that building. We're going to build it. And I remember when he said it, I said, all right, Jeff, let's do it. And here we are tonight. And so a round of applause for Jeff.
Okay, I didn't expect that. I didn't do it alone. Craig Hagmurray, chair of our park committee. We did it, and congratulations to you. So welcome everybody. This is, as Pete said, our brand new park facility. It's very exciting. It's just surreal seeing it actually come to life. This is our very first special event here at the park. And it's my hope this event becomes a super spreader event. Now, we're all wearing masks, so we're taking precautions on the virus. But what I mean is, please share with friends and business associates and everybody in the community about this facility. We built this not only to serve our scouting community, we want to serve the Chester County community and have you utilize this as a community resource. We really envision this being an asset to the community. So please talk it up. It's available for groups that want to use it, and we're really excited to have this and offer this to the community. So please help us do that if you would. Before we begin tonight's programs, I'd like to take a moment to recognize all of those who supported tonight's event, either as volunteers or for generous sponsorships. Our sponsors are listed in your program. I believe it's on the back page, but I'd like to recognize our top sponsors. Our Eagle sponsor for tonight's event is the board of the Chester County Council. A lot of board members came together and rallied, and they're our Eagle sponsors tonight. Thank you, board members, for rising to the occasion of being an Eagle sponsor. Our life sponsors include Bentley Systems, Jim and Kim Bennett, Ben Beer, and Lucian. So thank you so much for being life sponsors, and star sponsors are Chester County Hospital, Fletcher Swanson, Pete and Bonnie Motel. Thank you, Pete and Bonnie, Rob and Barbara Ecker-Solmer. Thank you, Rob and Barbara, and William Buck. Thank you, Mr. Buck. So let's give them a round of applause. Generous support of our sponsors, we raised nearly $113,000 for the scouting program. So that's amazing. I'd also like to thank a lot of people that came together and put in the work to have this event tonight. There are steering committee and selection committee members. They include Jim Bennett, Terrence Frill, Rob Ecker-Solmer, Kara Ron, Gary Smith, Stephanie Stevens, Andrea Yunt, and Rebecca Krug and Sarah Ponzia, who organized, both of them organized this whole thing and did a great job. Let's give all of them a round of applause. So before we get to our megastars, Ken mentioned about leadership. In the early stages of conceptualizing and planning this event, we thought it was a natural pairing to align leadership that will teach and instill values to our youth in scouting with community leaders in our community. And in keeping with the leadership theme, we've asked our inaugural class of Megastars to share with you tonight one leadership lesson that they've learned that they can share. So each of them will come up and share that. And I'm really looking forward to hearing that, as I'm sure you are, because they truly are leaders in our community. I look forward to hearing from them. So tonight, I have the honor of introducing the first three inaugural class of VISTA Megastars, VISTA Leadership Megastars, and they are Joyce Jasper, Thomas Gavin, and Ed Hurd. So with the three of you, please join me at the front of the room. And now I get to say very nice things about all three. So we'll start with Joyce. Joyce Jasper is President and CEO of the Chester County Opportunities Industrialization Center and spent her youth in Philadelphia, Delaware County, and Bucks County. She is a member of the Westchester Area School District Board of Directors since 2014 and sees the value of public schools and their importance as the foundation for a wholesome community. In addition to her service in the Westchester School District, she also dedicates time to other committees and sits on several local boards, particularly those serving disadvantaged adults. Joyce has been recognized for her leadership throughout the community and lives every day by the Chester County Opportunities Industrialization Center motto, helping people help themselves. So please join me in congratulating Joyce Jasper for being selected as the 2021
Yes, I'm sure. Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be here this evening, and I want to thank you, Jeff. Thank you to the Boy Scouts, the Chester County Council. Thank you to, it's wonderful to be with the honorees, and congratulations to you all. I will start by saying that I have been a den mother and a Girl Scout many years of my life. On my honor, I will try to do my duty to guide my country, to help other people at all times, and obey the Girl Scout law. It was that short when I was in the Girl Scout. And I just wanted to say, I think that's the foundation for what I've learned in being a leader. I believe that leadership this is more, we're supposed to tell a story. This is more of a position statement on leadership for me. I believe that it's service to others. And I think through that service, it has helped me to be a better person and helping to serve others. I believe in the pillars of integrity, respect, care, belief, and cooperation. Because we do more when we can cooperate and communicate with each other. These are the qualities of the leader that I aspire to be each and every day. So as an adult, I'm now in the grown-up chapter of the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, which is Rotary. And I believe that leadership is about acknowledging and appreciating those that came before you, that have helped you get to where you are today. And those that are beside you that you can lean on, and that lean on you for strength and courage every day. And then those behind that you can pull up to be where you are today. So I'm not sure at which point I became a leader, but it might be today, I'm not sure. But I do affirm that on my honor, I will try to do my duty to God and my country, to help others at all times, and to still obey the Girl Scout law. Thank you all so much.
Congrats again, Joyce. Next up, Thomas Gavin is the Director of Development and COVID-19 Response at Penn Medicine Chester County Hospital, and is a Westchester native. Tom was selected by the Chester County Hospital's executive team to lead its COVID-19 response efforts. Under his direction, more than 36,000 vaccinations were distributed. Outreach efforts in underserved communities to promote vaccine safety were launched, and local volunteer mask production efforts were initiated, which provided 61,000 masks and collected 200,000 pieces of PPE, eliminating a critical shortfall. Tom also worked to develop the hospital's thermal monitoring program, which trained and deployed staff for 24/7 thermal monitoring, including scheduling 27 team managers and 600 employees for 4,075 plus shifts from March to July 2020. Wow. In addition to his efforts through Chester County Hospitals, Tom is also involved in the local community and serves on various civic boards, including acting as the chairperson for Pennsylvania Eats Program, a nonprofit showcasing PA's food culture and helping to feed Pennsylvania's underprivileged. Tom is an active member of the board of directors of the Greater Brandywine YMCA and past board directors from the Westchester Chamber of Commerce. Please join me in congratulating Mr. Thomas Gavin for being selected.
I was going to shitty into my old Boy Scout uniform. Didn't work out, but it would have been fun. One of the things that I've learned about leadership is that it's contingent on generosity. The best leaders I've known have been generous with their time and their knowledge. They've been generous with opportunity, and the fact that I'm standing here tonight means they've been generous with the credit. I've had the great privilege of my life in benefiting from generosity at home, when I was a Boy Scout, and now from the great leadership team at Chester County Hospital, and with many of the fine people seated here who I get to volunteer within the community. I hope to earn this by paying that generosity forward. Thank you.
Ed Her. Ed is the chairman and CEO of Her Foods Incorporated and a lifelong resident of Nottingham. And I'm a lifelong fan of your products. As the son of the company's founders, he grew up in the snack food business and is committed to upholding the Her family tradition and founding principles of honoring God and promoting service to others. Ed is an active supporter of his local community and beyond, and is passionate about giving back to people through service and philanthropy. He serves on the boards of several nonprofit organizations, both locally and in other areas of the country. He's the founding member and director of Silo, a nonprofit out of Oxford, Pennsylvania, helping people in our community in need to serve, inspire, and love others. Silo. Please join me in congratulating Ann Her for being selected as the 2021 VISTA Leadership Megastar.
Thank you, Jeff. I want to tell you my first leadership principle. Eat more snacks. Like I'm telling you, there's something about chips and cheese curls and pretzel that just makes you a happy leader. My parents were my favorite leaders. And the best quality that my parents had was loving people. Now, not to be religious, but maybe a little spiritual. It reminds me that there are 613 rules to live in the Bible. We could call them leadership principles. And as you probably know, one day, a leader asked Jesus, of these 613 rules or commandments, which one is the most important? And you know what he said? He said, love God and love your neighbor. Love God and love your neighbor. Loving people. So for me, in leadership, whether it's in my family, in my marriage, in my business, in my community, in our nonprofits, the thing that keeps rising to the top is loving people. Loving people means respecting others, valuing their opinion, and maybe in this polarized world, I would say especially love them when their opinion is different than yours. Putting yourself in the shoes of those affected by your policy, caring deeply about relationships, building trust and transparency, and being willing to be vulnerable. That's loving people. And always working on learning and being humble, especially. So, loving people and eating snacks.
Well, that's a tough act to follow, isn't it? Jeff, I want to take issue with you. I have 3 great megastars to introduce, but I feel like you usurped the introduction of Ed Hers, and I want to know, how is it that you were able to make hers yours? Salt and vinegar, my favorite chips.
You gotta ask me next time.
So good evening. My name is Jim Bennett. I am the Scout Volunteer. I'm the Vice President of Development for our Chester County Council organization. And it's an honor to be here tonight to introduce 3 terrific megastars. The first person I'm going to talk about is actually not here. And that's my dear friend and colleague, Trish Mooney. And I think Father Allen really hit the nail on the head when he talked about servant leadership. So if you ask me, why isn't Trish here? It's because she's busy serving the rest of my colleagues from Elysian, whom I work in. They are here tonight. I appreciate them coming. We are in the midst of selling our company from one set of private equity investors to another. And if you've been through the process, it's arduous. And so we had a lot of homework to get done because of closing tomorrow. And Trish called me out, and with all due respect to the Episcopalians, Frank, Trish was tinged with a bit of Catholic guilt and said to me, I know I've got to do a lot of work, and my family really wanted to come to this. What's the right thing for me to do? And I said, Trish, I promise I won't make too much fun of you if you're not there. We will live stream this whole thing. Your family will get to see exactly why you were selected for this honor, and I appreciate your dedication to the company. So here's a few things I want to say about Trish. First of all, Trish is a Philadelphian. She works in Chester County. She lives in Montgomery County, but she's got that Philadelphia grit. It just makes me really proud. She's born and raised
in Roxborough, went to the University of Pittsburgh, and when she graduated, the job market was pretty tough. And Trish knew that she wanted to work in technology, so she was willing to take a job that wasn't quite a fit. And I think that's the first rule Trish would say: follow your heart, work hard, and you will succeed. And so Trish took on a number of positions before she came to Ellucian as Senior Director of Finance. Lo and behold, not long after Trish joined the company, her boss announced to her that he was moving on. And Trish had made such a mark early on that she was promoted to the position of Vice President of Finance. And so it was pretty clear to all of us on the leadership team at Ellucian that when we needed somebody to quarterback our efforts to sell the company, somebody who could help us put the financials together, gather all the information, most of all, inspire others by her dedication and her hard work and a work ethic that would get others to really dig in. Trish did just that. She dug in. And so we've had a great result. Now, if Trish's only bona fides were that she's a terrific professional and a lovely individual, that would be great. But she is a servant leader in her community. Trish, for years, has been a softball coach. She's the mother of 3. Her husband, Brian, works in the mental health industry, and he is a scout. And I think she exemplifies all that we ask of our megastars. So in absentia, I would ask you for a round of applause for Trish Haynes. And it will be my pleasure to take that award into the office tomorrow, where I will see Trish, because we'll be working on the closing. Now it's my pleasure to introduce Jim Horn. Jim is a Delco guy through and through, as you'll read in his biography. He is the president and CEO of Tri-M Group, which is based in Cannon Square, and they specialize in the design, installation, and service of high voltage electrical construction. So, if your power did not go out during the recent storms, thank you, Jim. We appreciate your good work. Jim says he's most proud of the fact that the people who come through his organization graduate from apprentices to journeyman electricians. I want to tell you another story about Jim. We chatted a little bit beforehand, and I said, Jim, tell me something about yourself that other people in the audience don't know. And he said, well, my father and I restored 2 antique trucks from the frame up, a 1923 Broadway and a 1924 Rockaway, thank you, and a 1931 Postal truck. Beautiful works. If you get an opportunity, ask Jim if you can see the pictures. He and his father worked on these projects for 10 years. Excuse me. His father passed away recently, but not before the projects were complete. That's the kind of dedication this gentleman has to family and community. Jim, it is an honor and a privilege to introduce you. Congratulations on being in 2021 VISTA Megastar.
Jim, I was told that I had 2 minutes, but I think Patricia yielded her 2 minutes to me also. So with that, there are many attributes that a leader must possess. I'm going to touch on a few of those. Fair and consistent. My goal has always been to be fair and consistent in the decision that I make that will impact our employees. Honesty, trust, and respect are extremely important in developing a leader that others will follow. I've been quoted as saying, you're not promoted, when you are promoted into a leadership role, you don't have respect tattooed on your forehead. Tattoos, the respect is earned, and it's earned over time. A leader must also be committed to the career development of others. I've often said that we as leaders are in the business of building people. Our people are in the business of building things. My greatest satisfaction has been seeing our apprentices work their way through 4 years of education. and training to become journey person electricians with the skills that will take them anywhere they so desire. As an example, in February of 1988, I hired a young teenager who entered our apprenticeship program, and today he is now a partner at Triumph. That partner is Ron Bogus, and he's with us tonight. A story for those Boy Scouts. Shortly after I became general manager at Triumph in 1986, I felt tensions in the air. Not knowing what was causing it, I met with one of our most respected field supervisors. I asked him, what am I doing wrong? First thing he said, are you willing to listen? That told me a lot right there. What I found out is that I gave the impression that I was not listening to others, giving them the appearance that I didn't have any interest in what they had to say. That is when I experienced my first lesson in leadership. I had to improve upon my listening skills. The moral of that story is, don't be afraid to ask those reporting to you for feedback. You might be surprised how much they appreciate you asking them, and you also might be surprised on what you hear. I want to close by saying thank you to VISTA today and to the Boy Scouts of America for this recognition. I want to thank our team at Triumph, there's a few here today, for their support and leadership that made this award possible. I want to thank my wife and my 3 boys who have been so supportive of me while spending most of my spare time in 38 years at Triumph. I want to congratulate the other 11 recipients, and it's a real honor to be included in the distinguished group of leaders. Lastly, I want to congratulate Reverend Allen, the recipient of the distinguished. Thank you.
When I was told I got to introduce our next award winner, I was really excited. No, did you think it was that, Jennifer Lopez? I believe that just by a monicum, Miss Jennifer Lopez had the name first, but our Jennifer Lopez is Chief Executive Officer of Friends Association of the Care and Protection of Children. That's right, she helps to protect our most vulnerable citizens. She's got over 30 years of experience in strategic and organizational management. She spearheaded creation of the Women's Reentry Assessment and Programming Initiative, which earned the top 25 program award at Harvard University John F. Kennedy School of Government. She's an inspirational individual, and I had an opportunity to speak with Jennifer before the program, found out just how humble she is. I asked her the same question I asked Jim. Tell me something that other people in the audience don't know. Where are your passions outside of work? What are the things you feel most strongly about? And she said, it's family. It's all about family. My husband and I will be married 33 years in October. And we expanded our family when my daughter and her family moved in with us. We've got a soon-to-be 2-year-old granddaughter living with us, and her face just lit up. It's clear that she has tremendous passion and care for children. So it's my honor to present the 2021 Megastar Award to Jennifer Lopez.
Thank you. I've never heard that one before. I'll tell you, my husband's name is George Lopez. It's not really Chester. Thank you to the Boy Scouts and to VISTA today for this honor, and for giving us the platform to share in our leadership, but also to receive inspiration from all of the really passionate speeches. It's motivating me to go back in tomorrow and continue to lead. It was hard for me to choose just one lesson. We're complex human beings. And so I think the first lesson was bringing that complexity into leadership, being authentic as a leader, showing up as a human being every single day, recognizing the humanity in our teams and the people that we're serving, all of those around us. Prior to my career at Friends Association, I spent 29 years in local government in the criminal justice system.
in a male-dominated system, so being authentic could be challenging. The other important lesson that I learned while there is to have a mentor. I have always had someone supporting me through mentorship from the earliest stages of my career. Women and many men as well. And it's the first thing I did when I arrived at Friends Associations. I sought out a mentor who knew a lot about nonprofits. And I can't stress enough the importance of having a solid group of people around you to support you in your leadership. And then finally, I think the most important aspect of leadership for me is leading with your heart and with a love ethic. So really recognizing in the work that we do day in and day out, whether it's with our team or with people that we're serving, that as we're fighting to change systems, as we're relentless in moving the needle for our community, that every person deserves to live fully and to live well. So thank you so very much for this recognition of our work in the community.
Good evening. I am Rob Neckershomer, a longtime scouter and board member. I won't tell you quite how long time as scouter, and I have the privilege of introducing three megastars this evening: Claire Mooney, Timmy Nelson, and Susan Springsteen. I'd ask you all to join me up here. It's an honor and a privilege to be up here with our distinguished citizen and 12 amazing megastars. The impact that you've all made on those with whom you work and the broader community is immeasurable, and we owe you great thanks. Each of tonight's honorees has demonstrated a desire to make things better in their workplace and their volunteer work. More importantly, they put that desire into action every day. They make me want to do better at what I do every day too, which is a very polite way of saying that they make me realize what a slacker I am. I've been given the privilege of introducing three of tonight's honorees. We'd be here all night if I listed all of their accomplishments, so I'll mention just a few things. Our first honoree, Claire Mooney, is an Aspen native and graduate of Cardinal O'Hara, so local, and is the former president and CEO of Tower Health Brandywine and Jennersville Hospitals. She has a bachelor's degree in nursing from Immaculata, an MBA from Alberta, and a master's degree in nursing and a doctorate in nursing practice from Lopez. That's a lot. One of her proudest accomplishments that she noted was receiving a $125,000 grant from the Pennsylvania Commission on Crime and Delinquency to combat the opioid crisis. And if we talk about service to communities, I can't think of an issue that is more important than that, protecting our youth and helping them to have. Now, I mentioned, if you were paying attention, that I said that Claire, who was the former CEO of Tower Health Brandywine and Jennersville Hospital, Penn State Health also recognized that Claire is a megastar and has appointed her as Senior Vice President and Chief Operating Officer. And she'll be overseeing the construction of a new hospital, which tells you what kind of vision and leadership they see. So, and she started yesterday, and is here us tonight. So, congratulations, Claire, on being VISTA Leadership Megastar.
So I want to thank VISTA today, the Boy Scouts, and Tower Health. So I spent the last 5 years working with Tower Health and moving a lot of things along. And there are 3 things that I really have learned that I want to share with you. The first is surround yourself with great people, friends, family. I'm very fortunate. Tomorrow I will be married 20 years to the love of my life, Chester County Police Officer Glenn Mooney. My mother, who spent 50 years in healthcare, really taught me, you'll never be sick, and you won't have a day off, and you're not allowed to be sick, and you won't be able to call out sick because I will. So that really gave me a lot of work ethic. And then good friends who said, you know what, never complain, pushed me to be better, pushed me to be harder, and really look at the we, which I think is so very important. The next thing is not to be afraid to fail. Never, ever, ever be afraid to fail, because it really only pushes you to be better. And then the final thing, and I think one of those things where it's really, as you can tell from your comments, is be a lifelong learner, and not just about degrees or about accolades, but really push yourself to learn those things. So building a new hospital, being open to those opportunities to learn and give back and do more. So thank you.
Timmy Nelson, who I now realize knows more people in the room than anybody else. A native of Michigan and a retiree from a 44-year career at UPS. He earned a bachelor's degree in human resources from Geneva College. And as he thought about his biggest professional achievement, there was a situation in New Jersey where the company was having trouble attracting and retaining managerial candidates for minorities and women, and having trouble with turnover in those areas. And they've been through several organizations and never seemed to be able to solve the problem. So they did what they should have done, and they brought in a very strong person. And 4 years later, on the heels of successfully meeting those goals, Timmy was transferred to Washington and promoted to vice president of governmental affairs. Timmy's the kind of person who gets the hard jobs assigned to him. And that's because he is a leader and he just gets things done. Now, this tells you about Timmy's professional career, and those things were important, but having had a chance to get to know Timmy the person a bit better, I can tell you there's a lot more to him than that. He's a leader that truly leads by example. He never asked anybody to do something that he wouldn't do himself. He never says no to helping any person or any group. In fact, he seeks out opportunities to help other people. His bio lists some of his areas of involvement, but the total list is more than twice as long as that, maybe 3 times as long. He's as genuine and friendly a person as you'll ever encounter. He puts the mega in Megastar. So congratulations to Timmy for being a history with the Megastar.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you to the Boy Scouts, Participant Council. And thank you to Lorraine, because all the things that I do, it wasn't very tolerated, and I couldn't do it. Leadership and management are not the same. You can effectively manage the process, but you must effectively lead people. Sustainable leaders, you have the mind of the CEO, social worker. Leadership listens, inspires, motivates, gives direction, with a common goal to inspires. True leadership is increasingly in demand. Issues arise daily requiring leaders to seek creative solutions to harness the power of the people to reach those common goals. Leadership today must be based on purpose, inspiration, caring, and compassion. True leaders are able to maintain power and influence because they're genuinely supported by willing followers. A good leadership should model ethics and inclusiveness. Leaders should be guided by a strong moral compass. Leaders must be open to every learning opportunity. Learning opportunities could be those facing a public health crisis. It could be accommodating a student whose needs differ from most others. Good leaders support and advance justice, including social justice, and stay the course with justice. Leadership is not just top management, but leadership can occur at any level. Leadership is taking initiative. Leadership is showing interest, is pursuing a mission to serve a greater purpose, a greater goal. When there's a workplace or a social turbulence and you're in chaos, leaders provide an island of certainty and calm for their employees and for the citizens with a focus on positive solutions. So I say again to you, leadership and management are not the same. You can effectively manage a process, but you must effectively manage people. Sustainable leaders need the mind of a CEO, and the heart of a social.
Okay, Susan Springsteen, Wilmington native, is president and CEO of H2 Connected, a qualified opportunity zone business based in Coatesville that develops and manufactures a patented product line that detects leaks and running water in toilets. Now, that may not sound like a very big deal, but I looked something up on this. And in this article, it said that from an environmental perspective, with the water issues that we're seeing, if every toilet in this country used that technology, we would save trillions of gallons of water every year in the US alone. So if we think about stewardship of the environment and leadership in many different capacities, I can't think of a better example of that. In talking with Susan, I learned that there's a lot more to her product line than that. I got a chance to see one of the gadgets, but an entrepreneurial spirit is making a difference in the coastal community as well. Susan, before getting into the entrepreneurial world, was a long-time, very successful investment manager, and came to the realization that while that was a great profession and very rewarding, that there was a lot more to life than just the money side of things. That turned her energy into making a difference through the products that she makes, the people that she influences, and volunteer work that she does. So I am very happy to pass that on. When asked about her favorite professional achievement, she said, "I don't think it's happened yet." And I think that tells you a lot about her perspective and how she views the world. So I'm very pleased to honor introduce you as a VISTA Leadership Megastars.
So in addition to leadership, I think one of the themes today is buy legal learners, save water, and eat snack food. I have to admit, I'm not an addict of the cheese curls. Don't ever stop making them, I'll go hungry. So thank you very much to VISTA today and the Chester County Council of the Boy Scouts of America for this award. And I just have had such a great time getting to know the other honorees, and I'm inspired by their stories and their advice. I feel like I now have new mentors. And one of the themes that seems to run through this year is one of servant leadership. I think servant leadership is just so important. And then under that umbrella, there's two things I'd like to add that I've noticed. And one is that we're all a leader to somebody. Oftentimes people think leadership is the person that's on television, is the person at the front of the room, the person that leads the company. But everybody is a leader to somebody. And I think it's important that we really think about who might be looking up to us and coming behind us because we're leading them and we're teaching them things. And the second thing I wanted to mention is that effective leadership, I believe, is tied to calling and it's tied to purpose. Mark Twain once said that the two most important days in your life are the day you were born and the day you found out why. So finding out your why and finding out your purpose and can enhance your leadership capability in a way, in what you do in your endeavors in your career, in a way that enables you to impact your community beyond your wildest dreams. So in my thoughts, pay attention to who's watching and find your why and eat cheese curls.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dan Coble. I'm the Corporate Initiative Manager for Bentley Systems.
If those words don't mean a lot to you, it means I'm in charge of giving away the money. A really successful business. Family Systems founded almost 40 years ago by brothers from the area. Recently went public a little over a year ago. We're doing okay. We're doing about $800 million a year in sales, so we'll make it. Thank you. Appreciate the support. But we're here because we believe so strongly in community and the idea of leadership. And it's not, and I love the way that tonight we're talking about the Boy Scouts, right? The next generation of scouts, the next generation of leaders coming up, and the people who are out in the community making a difference today. So with that, I'm honored to introduce you to our final group of Megastar Award recipients of the evening. Dwayne Walters, Steve Walton, and Luke T-Time, would you mind joining me up here as well? We'll start off with Dwayne Walters. He is the Executive Director for the Parksburg Point Youth Center, a nonprofit with a mission to empower youth and their families to live victoriously by offering a safe, engaging, and spirit-filled environment. He was born in South America and immigrated to Brooklyn when he was 6 years old, earning a bachelor's degree in biblical studies from Parent University. Dwayne is proud to have overseen the growth and expansion of the Point since 2005. Would you join me in a round of applause congratulating Dwayne Walters? It's a special day for me because I just found my long lost brother, Steve. This is quite an honor and a challenge at the same time. They said 2 minutes and they told that to a black preacher. So in 2009, I was 29 years old. I started at the point when I was 24. And I was executive director of a ministry that was reaching hundreds of kids. But we were in a very difficult time. Financially, we weren't making it. No one knew we existed. And the funding streams just weren't there. I didn't know what to do except to pray. And met a man named Jim Ford a few months back. And Jim committed to say, I'm going to help you. This young guy didn't know what he was doing. And one day, Jim introduced me to a man named Bob Hunter, who's here. And Bob and his wife and his commitment to Jesus absolutely transformed our organization so that we can be able to meet and reach more and more kids. And that's why I asked him to come here. But I just wanted to say thank you for what you've done. And Jim Holt and his wife Amber are here also from the Point. No organization can be successful without the we. And they have been my we, Bob and I, and I love the visual of the young black guy. I used to be young. And the older white guy reminded me of that coach that's behind him, pushing him, and making him do things he never thought was possible. I don't deserve this because I didn't do it. It was so many people like Bob and other board members who come along, and the men and women who are at the center right now working with some of the most challenged youth in our community who work daily, the volunteers. And I just want to thank you for this honor, but I want to deflect the honor to those who are there serving. I've been all said that. I'm reminding you, I'm a black preacher, now I have a story. So, and it's a true story told by a gentleman named Chuck Swindoll. When you ask what a story about leadership or an example of leadership, story about a third grader named Philip. Philip was born with a lot of challenges, physically and cognitively. He was special needs, and he was in third grade, and the students could be mean. They didn't understand what the challenges were, and they would mock him and make fun of him. One day, the teacher asked the class to take one of those small plastic Easter eggs and go outside and find something that's the evidence of new life and bring it back and talk about it. Well, all the kids ran out excited, and of course, Philip was the last out and the last back. And so the teacher then brings the students up, and they were just open their eggs to show what was evidence, was something that shows them life. And this one girl opened hers up, and it was a butterfly. And of course, all the kids were oohing and eyeing, and just impressed. Then another girl showed up, came up and she opened it up and it was a flower. One boy who didn't do much because he was a knucklehead like me, he opened it up with a little rock and teacher asked, how is that new life? Because I couldn't find anything, so I just put the only thing I could find. But after a while, Philip was called up and all the kids are prepared to laugh and make fun of him because he flops and messes up, doesn't get it. Takes a while for him to figure things out. Philip walks up slowly because his body is broken, and he opens his egg and it's empty. The other kids start to laugh and mock him, and the teacher had to do a big job just to get them to calm down. And she finally said, Philip, can you tell us why your egg is empty and how that shows new life? Philip looked at the class and said, after 3 days, the tomb was empty. And because of that, we can have new life. This is a true story. Shortly after that, Philip dies because his body wasn't able to continue to live. At his funeral, those third graders all took empty Easter eggs and placed it in his casket. Philip taught me a lot about leadership. Here's the 3 lessons he's taught me. 1, God doesn't always call the qualified, but he qualifies the called. 2, leaders must sometimes take people to a place they didn't know that they needed to go, and it requires imagination and boldness. Those kids didn't know that that was the answer that they were looking for. I imagine as adults and probably seniors today, that was probably one of the greatest lessons they've ever been taught in life. And it still fuels them to this day. They didn't know they wanted to go there. And as leaders, we have to take people places where they don't know they need to go. And we have to be bold and imaginative to get them there. And finally, the journey requires suffering, sometimes ridicule, and sometimes opposition, but you've got to lead anyway. Thank you.
Apparently I was brought here to reunite things like long lost brothers. So I was wondering why I was here. I'm not a scout, I never was. I did grow up in Roxborough, ironically. I got married in Episcopal Church back in Philly. So I think I'm like the glue kind of here that ties it all together, brings brothers together. I kind of have a neighbor here tonight too. We'll talk about who in just a minute, but up first is Steve. Steve Wallen, an Eagle Scout in native Indiana, is the Vice President of the Health, Safety, Environmental, and Sustainability for West Pharmaceutical Services. Business neighbor. Yeah. They're a global manufacturer in the design and production of containment and delivery systems for injectable medicines. Steve earned a bachelor's degree in biology from Indiana University and a master's degree in occupational safety management from Indiana State University. His proudest professional achievement is working to make West Pharmaceutical Services a leading corporate citizen. Join me in congratulating Steve.
Good evening, everyone. I'm very appreciative and humbled to be awarded this award tonight, and I'm certainly the least of the club. I can encourage you. You know, I might be a little guilty of drinking the Kool-Aid, but as mentioned, I am an Eagle Scout, and I know that I stand here today for whatever leadership qualities that I have and what I have learned in life and what I've been able to apply in 30-ish years of corporate life. Started with the Boy Scouts. I lived in a relatively small town in Indiana. Not a lot of opportunities. Joined a Boy Scout troop early on, and you know, we talked about it earlier. The Scout oath, law, motto are things that I've always been able to use in my adult life to think about what it is I want to be in terms of an employee, as a person, as a family man, as a father. I've fallen back on that. I've stayed involved in scouting throughout my career. I have an Eagle Scout with me here tonight. I have another Eagle Scout at home. I have my daughters as well. One of them a Gold Award winner, which is the Girl Scout equivalent of the Eagle Scout Award. And frankly, having been through both processes, might be a bit tougher. I didn't say that today. The Girl Scouts. But when we were asked to talk about leadership, it really falls back to again, in my formative years in the Boy Scouts and learning how to lead as a scout and then as an adult working with scouts. And as I look at myself and what I try to be as a leader, I certainly don't think of myself as that great leader, but I try to lead as I like to be led. There have been a lot of people in my 30+ years in the corporate world where I look to for their mentorship and how they have led and how I reacted to that as a person working with them. And then I try to emulate that. I've surrounded myself in each job that I've had with really great people who are a lot smarter than I am, that are driven and know what to do. My job as a leader is to empower that, to engage them within the organization if there are barriers, to knock that down, and then frankly get out of it. So I hope as a leader, wherever I've been, whether it's been in the corporate world or still staying involved with scouting, I hope I am empowering those folks and being that role model and that representative leading as I like to be led. And I hope that transforms to them as it did for me in my youth. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. And rounding out our Megastar event, Blue Tea Time. Partner Maxwell Harvey represents individuals and businesses in a wide range of state, business succession, and tax planning matters. Lou is a Coatesville High School graduate who earned a bachelor's degree in political science from Dickinson College and his JD from Temple University. His proudest professional achievements were serving as the president of the Pennsylvania Bar Association in 1999 and 2000, and being appointed by the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania in 2004 to chair its Lawyers Disciplinary Board. Congratulations, Lou.
Well, thank you very much, Dan. It's always tough to be last, because I'm the only thing between you and dessert. So I'll try to be brief, but I'm just really moved by this entire event. I've seen a lot of people here. Speaking native and practicing law for 25 years in the county, you get to know a lot of people. That's when we grew up just 5 miles away from here. And I want to congratulate Jeff and Peter. And thank you for having us. I'm in awe of Reverend Allen and my co-megastars, if you will. I've enjoyed meeting many of you tonight and speaking with you. I'm moved by your talks. It's hard to really reiterate what they've already said, but I'll try to be slightly different in just a few respects. I'm going to tell 2 stories, if I may. First of all, before I do that, I want to tell you that I've had a background in scouting. I was a scout. I didn't know how to swim, still don't. So I wasn't able to advance in scouting. But Joanne, my wife Joanne, I really want to thank for being my support and everything I do. You can't be out in the community the way that I am, or any of you are, without a very, very supportive spouse at home and helping to make things work at home. We were blessed with twin boys, Jeffrey and Ryan. One of them is here tonight. They're both Eagle Scouts. I learned so much as an Eagle Scout leader as an adult, and I really have tremendous respect for scouting. So I wanted to tell you that story, but there's 2 stories that really come to mind. One involves her, because I grew up in Coatesville. My parents had a store in Coatesville, little corner luncheonette. It's now Willie's, if you know Coatesville. So I grew there. I grew up right in the rural home right next to Tea Ties. And it was a luncheonette. It was a Happy Day store. You know, it's a Captain luncheonette with 9 stools, ice cream cones, and all the things that now Wawa sells, but we were selling. Traditional 2 clocks in the back, a block from the high school. The kids came after school and danced in the back. It was wonderful. Well, we sold chips. And I'll never forget this. This memory is vivid in my mind. It's 10 years old. And I was helping him in the store after school. And this man comes in, driving a huge adventure truck, like 1958. And it was Ed's father, Jim. And he, I remember talking to him. He paid attention to me. He was putting up his display of potato chips. He was driving the truck himself, and putting these bags, 5-cent bag, chips, wax bags, herb potato chips. And I remember that day vividly because my parents were hard workers. They taught me a huge work ethic, which I really loved them for. And I saw how hard he was working. It turned out to develop the industry that he did, and I saw him as a leader. I mean, I was so impacted by seeing that kind of business leadership and hard work in my parents were my role models. They taught me how to work hard and to respect people. So that's the one story. The other story is, and it goes to the message, the leadership lesson. I've been really blessed with being involved with so many different people, clients, people in the nonprofits that I'm involved with. One that stands out is a friend of Scout. He sponsored the golf tournament the Scouts had for years, Dick O'Neill. And I've got to know Dick as a result of that. I was active in this tournament. He's been a friend for now a long time. And those of you that know about Dick know that he's an incredible leader. And one thing he said to me once, I wrote it down because I wanted to get it right. He said, people don't care how much you know, until they know how much you care. And, you know, I started thinking about that. And my message, the leadership message is empathy. I really think that I've been blessed with success in the practice and in the community because I've learned from my parents and from people like Dick and other people that were before me that that empathy is so important. It's so important to stand in the shoes of the people that are around you because you don't know what's going on in their life. Like COVID, you know, we had, you know, we're just like any other business, we were affected by it, we're closed. We don't know whether to bring our people back in, don't know whether or not to do it or not. And, you know, when we were talking to people one-on-one, it really, really was important to make sure that we didn't have the bottom line as our goal, but rather to see maybe what's going on in their life. So like if someone comes in and maybe doesn't seem to be performing up to snuff during COVID, instead of saying, hey, you know, your performance isn't really good, if you don't shape up, we're gonna really have to, you know, terminate you. And maybe a better way to approach this is say, you know, think, are you okay? You know, is everything okay? Like you walk the line there because you sometimes get into privacy issues and all, but if the person, the employee or whoever it is you're talking about is willing to talk, they will really develop a huge amount of respect for you for just standing in their shoes, not judging, not doing anything, but just being empathetic. I think that's what made Dick successful in his life. I think that's what made my parents, who were very, very, they had limited means. I don't know, it's the lowest and fishes whenever I think of my parents, because basically they did a lot with what they had. But I just try to emulate that and try to be empathetic and feeling for people. So I guess my lesson, my leadership lesson is empathy. In closing, I also want to thank my firm who's really given me a platform for people to talk, and my partner Steve Porter's here tonight on behalf of the firm. But I really want to thank you all again, especially Reverend Allen and the other Megastars for your inspirational talk tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Lou, and thanks for referencing Coach Vermeil. You know, we're sitting in what will be dedicated next month as the Dick and Carol Vermeil Leadership Development Center. This entire floor of this building will be dedicated to Coach Vermeil. He hosted a golf outing for this council for 27 years and just stepped down from it. So he's an amazing man. Thanks, Lou, for referencing Coach. We'll be happy to recognize him when we dedicate the building on October 15th. I do want to mention too, this weekend on September 18th from 10 o'clock to 2 p.m., we're going to have an open house for Scouts and for the community. So you probably saw a big sign out front. It's going to be fun. If you want to stop back down, we'd love to have you. But wow, what if I can't think of a better first event, this facility. Thank you for supporting, for attending. I'm very inspired. I hope you are too. I think we'll all drive home with those leadership lessons rolling in our head. I'm trying to remember them all, but that was amazing. So again, I want to thank you, our sponsors, our volunteers, A special shout out to the staff of the Chester County Council all around together to put this on. Again, thank you for attending. Dessert will be served in the back, so make sure you stay or get some dessert or take some with you. And with that, come back next year. Have a safe ride home.